Doing shadow work is hands down one of the most important things and transformative things that we can do in our lives. However, this is important. What I see is so many people continue to dig. They see how transformative it is that then the journey of digging for your shadows continues. So I see two camps of people so often, is that there are those who are afraid of shadow work. They're afraid to look at their shadows. They're afraid to go into the depths. And then there are those who have done it and keep going in it. And they think that that is all there is. And they continue in the loop of shadows. Now, why I bring this up today is when we can find a healthy homeostasis, the in-between, because there are always going to be two sides of the spectrum. There are always going to be two extremes to anything. When we are afraid to look at our shadow and we push it away and we repress our fears and our worries and the things that keep us up at night and these things that plague us and these things that are holding us back that maybe we don't even consciously know that are holding us back from this lifetime or past, we are truly limiting ourselves in our capacity to grow and expand and become all that we came here to be. And then conversely, when we've been doing this deeper work, we've been looking at these parts of ourselves, these really hard, challenging parts of ourselves in our lives, and moving through it and clearing the energy and facing our fears and doing this, what can happen is we get caught in a loop. So then something wrong happens in our lives, something wrong, a problem. Go back and see last episode for more on that. An obstacle presents itself to us, and immediately then we go into, okay, let me start digging. Let me uncover the trauma. Let me uncover the limiting belief, the past life, whatever it has been. And it might not be that complex or really even the need or desire to do that, or rather it may not be appropriate for that situation and that shadow. And so what we are being asked is to find the middle ground, to find the homeostasis, to find the place and space in between where we are not seeking and searching, and we are also not ignoring and pretending like they don't exist. Here is what I have been using as a barometer for myself, because I have found myself in both camps and have seen both camps in many people. I have people come to me for hypnotherapy and they say, like, I'm so scared of what is going to come up. I get it. I understand. These are for people who have never looked at their deeper fears. Like, it can be really challenging. And for these types of people, what I always tell them is, would you rather feel something and look at something and face it head on and feel it quite intensely for perhaps a few minutes? Or would you rather feel it low grade in your body and in your life and painting your entire reality for the next 10, 20, 30 lifetimes, right? Years or lifetimes. Because truly it can be that big. When we're not willing to face these aspects of ourselves, they continue to paint our reality. They continue to paint our relationships. They continue to paint how we show up. They continue to paint how we feel in our bodies. They continue to express as dis-ease and disharmony. They continue to be reflected back to us in disharmonious relationships and in disharmonious things in our life and job and all of this. And so facing our shadows and facing our fears is a really valuable thing. And of course it's uncomfortable to do this at first, and of course it's uncomfortable to welcome these in, because we've been taught somewhere along the lines, like, if we're just high vibe all of the time, then it doesn't matter. It does. So facing our fears, facing our challenges is invaluable. It's incredible, and will get us leaps and bounds further. However, then on the other camp, this is the people who have been in the realm. They have been doing the work. And I really feel like this is almost like a rite of passage. I feel like everyone has found themselves in this like spiritual growth ascension journey. I think that this is kind of like one of the stages that everyone goes through. This is how I see it. I feel like this is one of the stages that everyone goes through of like, they do the shadow work, and then all of a sudden it is like, it's all shadow work. Let's like, let me keep digging for the next trauma, digging for the next trauma, digging for the next trauma. And I see these people and they're just on the loop of like, well, this caused this. And like, and every single thing, it's like, every time you talk to them, it's like, oh my gosh, I uncovered mom did this when I was growing up. And of course that's why I'm like this now. And then, oh my gosh, so this experience with this partner 20 years ago, that's what in fact impacted me now. And oh my gosh, I just revealed when I was like 2 years old, this thing also happened to me. My mom said this and like, it just triggered something today. And then when I was a priestess back in Egypt and they murdered me, like it just caused this cascade of events. And then when I was a whatever in Atlantis, you get what I'm going, where I'm going with this? Like, there's always more. And here's the thing. If you continue to look, you will continue to find this. There will not be a shortage of baggage, of trauma, of fears, of limiting beliefs, of past lives, of things that went wrong that are limiting us. So what we have to do, and why working with someone is so helpful in this, is to identify the core important needle movers, the things that are really going to move the needle. Because if we're just digging up trauma for the sake of digging up trauma, it's actually going to be more traumatic. And that's what we don't often realize. If we are continuing to look and dig for trauma and past lives that went not great, we're going to cause more trauma. And we're going to actually set ourselves back. However, when we can identify the correct, specific, limiting belief and shadow and fear that is holding us back right now, not yesterday, not tomorrow, not 10 years ago, not 10 years from now, but right now, now we can move forward. Now we can work with energy in new and beautiful and expansive ways. And now we can continue to move forward in our lives, because here's the thing. Life is meant to be joyful. Life is meant to be fun and expansive and a journey of uncovering and discovering and remembering. It's not supposed to be repressing and not facing our fears, and it's not supposed to be in our fears all the time and looking at our shadows all the time. This is where we must find the balance. We must find the homeostasis. Well, you don't must, no must anything. But if you really want an amazing life, this will help you. Where I have found myself now is at a place of, because here's the thing, while I help people and see people's depths and traumas and past lives, I myself am also on my own journey. We all are. Every healer is, every person is. And what I have found now to be the best way to go about this is I live in joy. I live in joy. I expect miracles. And then when presented to me, a shadow, a limiting belief, a fear, something to work through, when it is presented to me, and this takes a level of intuition and discernment and working with our higher selves and guides and spirit, then I go. Then I open up to that pain, to that sadness, to that trauma, to that energy. I then welcome it in. Well, I try my best. I'm human too, and I will never say that this work is easy. But I'm no longer searching and digging. I'm living and desiring and welcoming in the miracle frequency, which if you're not in the miracle frequency, What are you doing? Get in. The link is going to be below, because as I began to live into the miracle frequency, I began to see manifestations, miracles, synchronicities, signs everywhere. And this was such a reprieve from working in the shadows and working in the traumas and the depths and the hardest things that we go through as human beings. When I began to live into the miracle frequency, a lot of these limiting beliefs and blocks and stagnation and like just ick from the past, it began to dissolve. This is actually what can transpire when we live into our highest iteration and into our highest self, is that our blocks and these boulders that are holding us back, they actually can begin to dissolve. Not because we're consciously digging, but because we've shifted our frequency to that of which we truly are, which is love, light, truth, God, an emanation of God, right? And that in and of itself can dissolve the blocks. Now, it's going to depend on the block, but this is going to begin to dissolve your blocks, being in the highest emanation of source. And so this is a really fun way to evolve, living in the miracle frequency, living in joy, living in truth, living in expansion. And this is what I myself have chosen. Like, again, if you're in that aspect and that part of the spiritual journey, I just bless you and I send you love, because it feels so real. It feels so real that it's like, this is the healing, and we have to look at our shadows, and we do. And this is, you don't have to, but it will really help you in your growth. But don't get stuck there. Don't vacillate and indulge in the shadow work and think that it is the only way to grow, because we get to evolve through joy. We get to evolve through pleasure and synchronicities and magic and miracles. It's part of the human experience. And I really feel like there are just these like frequencies, not I feel like, I see these frequencies being pulsed into the collective of disharmony, of a feeling of like we can't enjoy life and we shouldn't enjoy life and we weren't meant to enjoy life. And what a sad thing. What a sad thing. And it is why so many people are unconsciously living in lack, limitation, fear, sadness. This doesn't have to be this way. Looking at your shadows can help you transform this, but also deliberately choosing love and joy and gratitude can also help this. And so wherever you're at, if you are finding yourself unsure of where you're at, reach out. This is where this one-on-one work with me is so helpful and supportive to having. I can't see my own blocks. I can't always see where I'm at. Like, I've trained my intuition to be able to see many things, but I still need support. We all need support. So reach out for someone to help you and guide you in this. And if you're just needing that little boost to get into the miracle frequency, join us. Living in this emanation, in this frequency, is what helps us dissolve our shadows, our fears, our blocks, simply by living into the highest caliber and highest iteration of who we truly are. And so with that, my loves, I'm just sending you all infinite love and light.